I was looking at them, and they've got these, those like the walkers, the chickens that they have. They've got like a melee chicken, and that melee chicken has anti-walker 2+. And I was thinking, okay, that's a bit edge case. Like, why do you want it to be good against dreadnoughts? But then I realised all knights are walkers, all of them. Even Questoris are walkers. So you're anti like Questoris 2+, which is pretty crackers when you think about it. So
that's madness. That's really fun, though.
It's a fun little aside, but yeah.
It just goes to show that like they are the masters of all mechanical things, right?
So such a random anti. Like I've never seen anti-walker on anything.
I've never heard that. Yeah. That would be like anti-cavalry.
Yeah.
That'd be my favourite unit. Yeah. Anti-mounted for a wolf jail.
I always love that when people are like, I've got anti-infantry, and then they try to attack my locust with it, and I'm like, yeah, they're mounted on themselves. Doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm riding me, baby.
Riding me.
Welcome to the In the Tank podcast. Get ready for an hour of hot 40k goodness coming in your ears. You're in the tank now, baby.
We are live.
We are indeed live. Welcome, everyone, to In the Tank. How you doing, my fabulous douchey co-host? No, I love you, really. How you doing?
Glorious. How are you, my equally douchey co-host?
I'm doing all right. I don't know if I'm equally douchey.
No,
maybe like 60% douchey. But like, there we go. Yes, no, I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Just getting into the swing of my week from my lovely weekend spending with your fabulous family and you.
Good fun, wasn't
having
it?
a fucking... Actually, to be fair... I did have a whale of a time. It was wicked. Yeah. Saturday was like a proper work day, though.
It
man.
was,
It was hardcore, man. That was.
You can't say that. We spent half of it in the pub.
Shh. Only a bit in the pub.
Give away our
secrets. When we were doing it and the voiceovers and stuff like that, like
that
shit
afternoon
moved
was
fast.
definitely a busy afternoon.
Packed a lot in. We're getting there. We're getting a flow going now. We'll talk about that in a minute. But how have you been, mate? What have you been up to, hobby-wise?
I've been great.
Have you been doing anything hobby-wise?
I have. I've gone through all of the Trench Crusade warbands, and I have taken them off of all of their little foundations.
Precarious spruce. Did you break anything?
No, I didn't. Actually, no, I did. I broke one foot, but I glued it straight back on, and you wouldn't even know.
I broke a couple of bits.
Yeah, but it was quite easy, to be honest with you. So yeah, I've done all of that. Been going through all of the March of War terrain and just cleaning all of that up ready. So basically all I need to do now is just wash all of the terrain. Wash it just to get all that greasy resin releaser off. And then I could get ready to spray that. Airbrush is primed and ready to go.
You don't need to wash the models, do
you?
No,
the models are fine. It's just
they're from a
different
different type of resin.
Correct, yeah. Correct. So
cool.
That's what
Do
I've
they
been
look
up to.
cool?
They look awesome. Honestly, I'm actually I've got a bit of envy going on because I did all of my like Trench Pilgrim stuff and I was getting them all off the sprues, and there's some really cool models there. Don't get me wrong. But then when I did Alex's warband, so my mate Alex is going to be joining us in the barn to do some Trench Crusade as well. He is doing the Court of the Seven-Headed Serpent, and I was just like, fuck me, these are erection-inducing models. Like, they are massive for a start.
I would argue, potentially, bull loyalty aside, that they are the coolest models in that entire range.
I think, yeah, I mean, they've got this desecrated saint model, and it's got like this kind of Game of Thrones thing going on where it's got all these like swords melted into like one giant sword.
And the dude in the middle,
yeah,
right,
but
that's like,
you haven't seen the back of it, Russ. The back is a cape made of just dead humans. Like, it's insane, and they're all like withered little corpses. It is insane.
I have to admit, the detail on these models are considering it's 3D printed, it's like, holy shit. Like the sculpting is outrageous.
Looking at those models, I was just getting such Dark Souls vibes. I was like, fuck me, this just looks like a Dark Souls or like an Elden Ring boss or something.
Well, I love how my guys are like, obviously they've got that like Muslim Lawrence of Arabia, like Middle East vibe going, and like, just their cloth looks so nice. I just can tell their jewelry and their armor is going to be so much fun to paint. And of course, Bo, that big old bully bastard looks fucking fantastic, and he is chunky as all balls.
What have you been working on?
Well, funny enough, a bull. I've been working on my bully bastard. I've ordered a load of components for Trench Crusaders in like loads of nice base toppers and stuff like that, because I want to go full out, because if it's only a small force, I want to make it look as popping as possible, right? I have been working on something really cool. Really fucking cool. I have posted some photos on Insta. I had a delivery from Mesgeik.
Oh.
So I'm building some dredgy Blightlord Terminators.
Amazing.
Which are so Bioshocky. There's literally like a big daddy like helmet, and the drill arm.
Wow. Okay.
And stuff. So I'm like,
that'd be wicked.
And the announcement that I will be probably playing Death Guard, not next episode, but the episode after.
Oh, okay, that is exciting. So in about 3 months' time.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go CSM, but I was looking at it and I was like, I can get these to total standards.
I mean, you've done half of them already to like, your usual 40% finished. So you might as well just finish them off.
But it's going to be like a 30 Terminator list.
Plus, after the inevitable Death Guard nerfs, like, a month or so after release, you probably only need about 10 models.
About 10 of them, yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, I'm going to go for it anyway. It'll be fun. And like, it'd be cool to see.
You should do it. And then you
works.
can tip back onto the Chaos Wagon after that. Well,
by then,
CSM.
Emperor's Gold will hopefully be in the market.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to like actually do it because I'm just a bit concerned, right? But
sure.
But yeah, so that's really cool. So I've been working on that. And yeah, and also Plato, friend of the channel, hashing out a plan with Plato. He's like, bless him, he's going to be working his old Iron Warriors forge for me. So I get some reinforcements for my CSM at some point.
Nice.
We've cracked a deal.
Yeah,
done a deal. It's obvious what we've done if you've been like following the thing, but we've got something cooking.
Yeah.
So like it's gonna be cool. So he's gonna be working in the forges for me.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a while.
It's
gonna take a while, but I think it'd be worth it. So
as long as you don't mind it just being like metallic color, that's fine. He only does gunmetal, Plato.
No, he asked me for what I kind of wanted, and he'll do it.
Did he say your options are gunmetal or gunmetal?
Well, as a nod to him, as a nod to him
Plato.
being a fellow like Chaos brethren, granted of the Iron Warriors variety, he's going to do a Hazard Stripe patch on like one of the armor panels.
Yeah.
Kind of hinting at what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep it a bit stum. So yeah, going to be so sick. So that's going to be well fun, mate.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that. So there we go. So yeah, some spicy shit on the horizon.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it, really getting into my hobby. Oh, and very quickly, it is my birthday coming up on May the 19th.
Yeah.
I will be on Discord for a hobby day. So I'll be like I don't know how that'll work with people dropping in. I presume you can like start a chat on Discord and people can just like join or something. Is that something that can happen?
Yes, exactly. You can just jump into our Discord in the lobby and you can just sit there all day on your own.
Great. Perfect. And then people can like video.
Yeah, just jump in and out. You could turn your video on like this, and then you can just talk all day. So,
perfect.
Yeah, if you are a listener of the show and you want to chat to us, jump into our Discord. It is in the description below. We'll rank you up, and then you could come and chat to us. I'll be dropping in and out on that day as well, no doubt. So we'll all have.
Obviously,
I'm
going to take like breaks for lunch and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I can think of no better way to spend it on my birthday than doing some modelling.
Yeah, because fuck your family. Don't want to spend any time with them.
Fuck off. But like, I'm also for my birthday going to purchase two things. I'm going to treat myself to two things. I'm going to get a Lorgar kit from Artel. And I'm going to get a hobby deck, which is the most old man. Have you seen this?
No.
Do you know what a hobby deck is?
I think I know what it is. But
it's like a fucking old man tray that you have that has like a magnetized cup of water and like loads of like paint bits and stuff. So I can sit in my old man leather chair that my wife's going to get me for my birthday and just like get into a Roald Dahl nook. And just
nice.
like,
okay,
and it has like a UV light and shit, and
That's
just
cool.
like model away, and it's got like paint pot holders and stuff like that. So yeah,
I'm always thinking at the minute, like
I
I should just be sat outside in the garden hobbying.
Well, this is it.
Because
I can
it's
take
so
it outside.
Nice.
I can hang out with my family whilst I model, even if I'm just like focusing on that. I'm like, fuck off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but like, so yeah, it's all cool. So
Awesome stuff.
Go out into the garden. Also, on the subject of the Discord, and to say, fuck you, Ed, you absolute scumbag. You scumbag.
You scallywag.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, join the Discord, you beauties. Look at you, you're that shit-eating grin. You know why. You're still in the bloody purgatory for what you did last time.
I didn't do anything. It's all you just forgetting. So don't blame me.
Yeah, no,
the fact that I get off on it has nothing to do with it.
Good-looking Romanian guests that are cool and like, have
sexy
dulcet
Plato with his
tones.
dulcet
He's
tones.
great, lad. I love that man. He is actually fun. When I see him in real life, I give him a massive hug. But yes, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out at Count Ruscular Minis on Insta. Check you out. Eddie does 40k.
Eddie S 40k.
Eddie's 40k.
Eddie's 40k. It's all in the description below. So
yes, I know, but I want to like tell people who can't be asked to look. It's all good.
Check out the Battle Barn if you want to watch us playing an awesome game, because we did play one last week.
Speaking of, we need to talk about that very quickly. Also, like just as a very quick aside, have you seen the Horus Heresy leak about the Saturnine armor?
No.
Armor Terminators.
No. Oh, are they the ones with like the big shoulder pads? Oh, they're cool. Yeah.
So they're like teasing. Oh, that really crap Horus Heresy video. Very quickly, have you seen it?
No.
Oh my god, how have you not seen this? So like they posted about like Horus Heresy, like the next edition, even though it's only been 3 years since the last edition, and like a decade from the previous edition. And to tease it, they did like a really high res like video of like a load of office workers, and this woman like is logging on to things. She's like, I've heard that there's a new Horus Heresy edition coming out. And then the dude next to her is like, I just think that's hearsay. And that's it. And it's 40 seconds.
Hearsay.
And I'm like,
do you not get it?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Heresy.
Yes, I know, I understand.
God,
terrible.
that's a terrible pun.
Terrible. But they spent far too much money on that. Like, it was really high res. Like, it looks like a movie. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And they're kind of teasing like a new launch box for it.
Sure.
I think they're revising the rules, which is, I mean, fine, whatever. But the leak I saw this morning of the box from where someone's just nicked the box from like GWHQ
Is it the one that's in his car?
Yes.
Yeah, I have seen it then. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it's all Saturnine armor, and I'm like, my Terminator PP is like, these Saturnine massive Terminators with 2 plasma cannons on each arm, and I'm just like, oh shit! So that's going to be cool.
That will be cool. I'm into that. Yeah.
But I've heard it's just hearsay, apparently. So there we go. So, Battle Barn game.
Yes, we had a good one. We won't spoil. Are we spoiling the result, or we probably shouldn't?
No, we won't spoil the result, but we'll give a rough kind of like thing of where things were at. Like, I would say that was such a fun game. And just as a little like peek behind the sort of wizard's curtain, right?
Wizard's sleeve, yeah.
Wizard's sleeve. I have so much more respect for battle rep, like what do you call it? Presenters now, right? Where to battle rep and host and be live hosting is such a unique skill tree. Talent like thing, right? Not to blow our own asses, but like in order to make a show entertaining and play live and do that it's so on. Like I was knackered at the end of
you were crashing
right?
afterwards, yeah.
And you were winding me up a lot that game. You were poking the bear in the bollocks.
The thing is, it's so much fun. I wind you up every week over the internet, but it's just nothing quite like winding you up in person.
So you do like the eye stare, and I was getting into that
eye staring me a lot.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's
you were
revenge.
actually doing it more than I was.
It was revenge. It was totally. It's because the Chaos Gods have given me like a bit of like you know, piss and vinegar. Do you know what I mean? Like they've given me a buff. But like it
was good. It was a heroic game, mate.
I loved it. Like any game where I get to play Chaos is shut the fuck up. Any game where I get to play Chaos is a great game. Why are you laughing?
Nothing. You clearly missed that pun, but that's fine.
What was your pun?
Right over your head.
A heroic game.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking! That was a clever pun. No, but the fact you had to explain it means that
because it was
like
so clever. It was too clever for you. That's why. I reckon the audience got it.
If they would have watched,
if they've watched the game, they got it.
Yeah, I still have feelings about one particular unit that I always had feelings against, if not worse now. Well, that's 2 games.
They're in your nightmares. Those are now.
Yeah, that is the one regretful part of that game, to be honest. But you learn.
You do.
You
live and learn.
You take your licks and you go, okay, how can I make this better next time?
Yeah.
But there was some really funny moments.
There was, yeah.
Charles! There was some really funny moments. Charles!
Yeah, it was great.
So go and check it out. It was well fun. And Fabius Biles a G.
He is.
And I, honestly, like I've said before, I've had more fun playing CSM this edition than arguably at any other point in my 40k journey. The only thing that comes close was running Inner Circle in 9th.
Yeah.
And also,
you've really enjoyed the CSM, haven't you?
Tau in 3rd. I think that they are the epitome of what Chaos should be. The risk and reward of Dark Packs. Where 9 times out of 10 you get a wicked buff, and then that 1 in 10 you get fucked, and it's like really kind of cool, and I like that, and I think it represents that faction really well, and and Legionnaires are awesome.
They're really good.
They're so good.
Hopefully Fabius learned a thing or two about flaying as well in that game.
He did. I think he did.
Improve his art. Good old Clone Lord. I'm actually listening to that book that you sent me. Gene Father, yeah, it's really good.
Like it?
I'm enjoying it thoroughly, yeah.
The 2 minds, we're talking about minds later.
I love Belisarius Call. Anything with him in it does it for me. So.
In a sick, twisted way, I really like Bile. So
I like Bile too, don't get me wrong.
Too.
They're both awesome characters, but Call is just so great. I just love him.
Sassy bitch.
He is
surprisingly
like
sassy. Yeah, surprisingly so. From a man whose heart is quite literally mechanical. Like he's got a lot of whimsy.
He does,
but in like a snidey way, really, not like a Necron way. But there we go. So go and check out the Battlebound game. I got to play with my boy, which is never a bad thing.
It was fun.
And eat steaks with your family. So what's not to love? And a fucking schnitzel, which was banging, by the way. That was one of the best schnitzels I've ever had.
It was a fun day.
It was a good day. So our first major topic that we're going to discuss, that we alluded at a previous episode, but I had to put it in the topics list. Our favourite kits that we've ever built in terms of satisfaction, options, vibes. I've got 3, maybe 4 at a push, maybe more. What are your favourite kits? And any
should we go one-y?
And then we'll do at the end. We'll do loads that we also like.
One of my favourite kits ever, and I think from there are some things I don't like about it, but from a mechanical standpoint, in terms of just the way they designed the kit to make it have options as to the way you could build it, which I thought was the most clever thing I've seen them do mechanically, is the Lictor, the new one. So they've added these shoulder socket joints, which are basically you've got a hole, but instead of it just being a ball where you can just shove something in and rotate it, it's kind of like a ball with a little sort of extra bit that can either lock into one of 2 positions. And depending on where you lock those positions, depends on the angles of the arms. And you can obviously change them depending on what you want. And you can have the claws, the arms that have different sort of midsections. So you can have up arms or down close arms.
What like an Egyptian.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just when I was building them, because I'm a little power gamer, I didn't want them to have really high claws, because I can't fit them in ruins and they're a pain up the arse. They're poking out the top. Line of sight, that sort of shit. But I also wanted them all to look slightly different to each other. So I went through and I basically mingled about with all the options and figured out that I could do 3 different versions of the Lictor with claws that are sort of in that mid-range area where they're not going to get poking out the top of ruins. And they're all done differently, and they're just such a beautiful kit. First of all, it's an amazing redesign of the kit. Second of all, what they did with the shoulder sockets and stuff is real genius. The only gripe I had with it was it's done the usual sort of modern kit thing of going, here's an arm, but here's also 5 little claws that you've got to attach to that arm. So that was the only downside to it. But I thought as a kit, it's awesome. And they've got different heads and stuff. So it's really cool. I'm big onto that one. Big up. Yeah.
Nice. Love that. That sounds awesome, mate. Fair play.
Great kit.
Fantastic. Yeah, obviously I don't really know much about the Tyranid range in terms of building and stuff like that, because it's just not my jam, but that's cool. Yeah. So the first one for me is a weird one, right? I like chunkiness.
I know.
And I like things clicking together in a really satisfying way. So weird choice for my first one. The old Dark Talon or Nephilim Jet Fighter.
Yeah.
Now, when I built that, just in terms of chunky components, just clicking together. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And of course you have the options to like literally in classic Dark Angels fashion, like weld chunks of monastery to it,
yes.
right? Where like you've got the top bit where it's all like stony and crap, and like they're optional choices where you either choose the Nephilim for like none of that or the Dark Talon for that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But just, I don't know, just how much fun that was to put together.
Yeah.
Was outrageous, and although it's kind of quite an old kit now by modern standards, it was just so much fun and made something so big in quite a quick time frame where like I literally had it built in like an hour or two, and it looked so good so quickly, and I was like, oh my god, this thing's amazing.
Yeah.
And like aircraft is such a shame in 40k because as we previously discussed, like rules for them have been really weirdly patchy. They've either been insanely overpowered or severely underpowered, and there's like no getting around it really. Like it's to the point where I imagine in the future, weirdly, they're probably going to be phased out eventually because I just don't think they really have a place necessarily. Sure. But beautiful kit to make. Kind of reminded me of like a Forge World kit without it being made out of resin in terms of the simplicity of how things went together. But yeah, Dark Talon. Yeah, weird choice from my first choice, but I'll take it.
So my next choice is a kit that I love purely because of how easy it is to magnetize and how good it looks when it's magnetized properly. You wouldn't even know it's been magnetized, and it just gives you all the suite of options that you'd ever need, which is the Humble Armiger, which is the Baby Knights. Those things are so good for magnetization.
Is there a honourable mention for obviously the War Dogs as well, right?
Well, there's the same. I mean, Armigers, War Dogs, like all of the Chaos versions, they're all the same. And you can actually magnetize across the kits, so you can make like an Imperial one, which is what I've done because all of my knights are the Imperial bodies, but I've also got the Chaos arms because I've done mine kind of like an Alpha Legion style. So like I just love the fact that you can just do that, and also you can get 3D printed arms and stuff. So you could get like shields or like maces or just different weapons just to mix it up and make it look a bit more interesting visually.
I do think that is one of the nicer looking kits, and ironically,
it just go together really nicely. And like the whole thing is just a really fun build, I think, to do.
I agree. I haven't built them myself. I'm going to get some War Dogs.
Questoris are very similar. They're just so massive that they're like a chunky version. But again, you can magnetize a Questoris, but it is a little trickier because you've also got those little shoulder mounts that you've got to do, and you've got the top like rocket pods and stuff. I have done and figured out a way to magnetize everything on them as well, but they are slightly trickier. The arms are the same as the Armigers; they're easy. It's just the rest of the shenanigans. So
as someone who like is going to get a kit of War Dogs and stuff like that on the near future, is it just literally magnetize?
So you've got like a slot in the arm that you can actually get a magnet that will fit basically perfectly in that slot, and then all you need to do is you have like the rotator cuff that goes into that slot. You just snip that off and drill it out and put a magnet in that hole. So what you end up with is like a smooth join, and when you click it together, you wouldn't even know there was a magnet in there. You can't see it. If you do it right, don't do it like Paul's done it, because he's completely fucked it. He's like stuck magnets in the bloody thing, and you can see the magnets, and
Is it a small drill? Is it a small drill?
You only need, I think it's like a 3 mil or something like that. It's not massive. I think I did a 3 or 4 mil, but easy.
Do you know what's interesting about those Armigers as well is how big they are, because obviously they're like baby knights. In the
but they are still chunkers, aren't they?
They're
right?
big old fucks. They're big as a Redemptor, right?
Yeah, they're big.
They're not necessarily as fat, but they're like taller.
Interesting. As an aside, I was looking at the AdMech Codex the other day because I'm going back into painting some AdMech now. Because very kindly, I was going to do Grey Knights, and then I was going to do the rest of my knights, and then I was thinking about doing Tyranids. But every time I'm about to embark on doing a new army, one of our amazing either supporters or people that we've had on the channel, like Sam and Luke, they're like, do you want to borrow this army? And I'm like, that'd be amazing. Obviously, incredibly generous of you to lend it to the channel for a while. That's because the more the merrier
until
at the
you
minute.
Get your own stock.
Exactly, which is really kind of them. But it means that the armies that I was going to paint have sort of shifted. So now I'm going all the way back to the AdMech because it's just an army that no one bloody has anyway. And I quite fancy doing them. So I was looking at them, and they've got these, those like the walkers, the chickens. that they have. They've got like a melee chicken, and that melee chicken has anti-walker 2+. And I was thinking, okay, that's a bit edge case. Like, why do you want it to be good against dreadnoughts? But then I realized all knights are walkers. All of them. Even Questoris are walkers. So you're anti like Questoris 2+, which is pretty crackers when you think about it. So
that's madness. That's really fun.
It's a fun little aside, but yeah,
it just goes to show that like they are the masters of all mechanical things, right?
It's such a random anti. Like I've never seen anti-walk on anything.
I've never heard that.
Yeah,
that'd be like anti-cavalry.
Yeah.
That'd be my
anti-mounted.
Favorite unit.
Yeah,
anti-mounted for a wolf jail.
I always love that when people are like, "Oh, I've got anti-infantry," and then they try to attack my locust with it, and I'm like, "Yeah, they're mounted on themselves." Doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm riding me, baby.
Riding me.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, I better talk about another kit.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one because this is a modern thing. Chosen.
Oh yeah, no, Chosen are cool. I'll give you that.
Chosen.
I've built some Chosen.
Chosen.
Cool.
Well, I've recently built some Chosen, and I made them into very Sword Brethren-esque sort of Chosen, and holy shit, man, they are so much fun to make.
Yeah,
they've got like a billion options, right? Like because they're like you know, they're like a little unit of characters essentially. You've got all the combi weapons, all the like crazy demonic weapons, all of like power fists and lightning claws, and all of your gubbins there. You got like some cloaks. You got like gnarly amounts of backpacks. Even if you just want to like sprinkle those heads into your sergeants and your units or whatever. Just awesome. Great poses.
Yeah.
A few tactical rocks thrown in there for good measure or whatever. Yeah. It's just some cool shit, man.
They're very cool.
Just really cool looking.
They really nailed, like, because obviously the Chosen were originally from that box with the, was it Dark Angels versus Chaos? The Dark Vengeance box, so. They were like way smaller. I've got them, the original ones. And they based the new Chosen on those old sculpts. Yeah. But they gave you the ability to kind of mix and match a little bit this time around.
Yeah. I don't
whereas
know when
those
the
were
Chosen,
monopose.
I don't know when the Chosen properly came out. I don't think they're an old kit, actually. I think they're fairly modern-ish.
They're about 15 years old. 10 or 15. 10 years old, maybe. 15 years old, probably.
What, the old
The Dark
Chosen?
Vengeance ones.
Oh, yeah. No, but I'm talking about the new Chosen.
Oh, the new ones are only 2 years old, 3 years old?
An edition? Like,
yeah, we're in ninth.
Like ninth.
They were ninth.
Yeah, ninth edition, right?
Yeah.
But just so cool.
They're very cool.
And like, when I think Chaos Space Marines, I kind of think Chosen, in as much as like, I think, although your average sort of Legionnaire needs to look a little bit more stock, so to speak, I actually think that what a Chosen looks like is what a Chaos Space Marine should generically look like.
They have a lot of good head options, and because you don't need to use them all, you can start dishing them out into your legionaries and stuff, and it's just great.
That's what I said, like sergeants and stuff, right?
Exactly. So really cool,
and just cool for giving you like your unit, other units like upgrades and stuff, like, and great for your bits box, but just I mean, love, and they're really good in the game. Like, they're fantastic. Like I think every Chaos army, unless you have a really linear sort of shooty army, will tend to use a unit of Chosen. Yeah. And they actually suit Abaddon better than, ironically, Terminators do. Yeah. So, advance and charge and shoot. Nice. Inherently baked. Yep. Very good. So, Chosen for me, lad.
Good choice. So, my next one is a Necron choice. And surprisingly, it is neither Flayed Ones or Doomsday Arcs. Because fuck those kits. It is the Humble Monolith. That thing is a recent kit. It's massive. It's like a fucking shoebox. But the way it goes together is really cool, because what they've done is they've kind of got like this central lump, and then they've got all these extra sort of like stones that come out, and then you attach the outside of the shell to those, basically. And it's just really, because obviously you need to build it and then like keep it in chunks to paint it, because you can't just put it all together, or you're going to miss half of it. Like, they've done it in a way that's very good for that. So you don't need to be like, some kits aren't easy to build in terms of like breaking them down into sub-assemblies.
Sub-assembly friendly.
Yeah, it's very sub-assembly friendly. The only gripe I had with it was that you had to lock in your choice of Doomsday, like I can't remember what they're called, like Doom cannons, or the sort of anti-infantry version, because you can magnetize it, but they've made it as difficult to magnetize as humanly possible in typical modern Games Workshop way. So that's slightly annoying. But apart from that, the kit itself is really cool to build. It goes together really nicely, and it's just an awesome looking bit of kit.
The monolith being the classic pyramid, yeah?
Correct, yeah. Not the Tesseract Vault.
No. That kit is ancient, though, right?
No, it's a new one.
Oh.
They've redone it in 9th edition. Yeah. It's a new one. The old one had the little green transparent crystal in the top. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the new kit. So
see, this is how like xenophobic I am.
You didn't even know there was a new kit, did you?
It was like whatever. Like
they've done it really
filthy xenos. It looks very similar though to the old one.
And what they've done as well is they've got the sort of Eternity Gate, the portal, and there's one of the options you can have where there's like a Necron warrior, like half phasing.
I have seen that.
So what I've done very coolly is I have put another Necron warrior on the steps lower down, so it just looks like they're sort of flooding. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Really cool.
That's cool. What base is it on?
It's on the fucking dinner plate, mate. It's massive. It's like I think it's the same
good flying base.
Same base as a Defiler. It's massive. It's like a
Defiler.
Defilers technically have a base. And if you run them at UKTC, you have to run them with a base, by the way, legally. So enjoy that one. They're about 160 mil or something. They're like 16 centimeters. They're a proper massive base. Yeah.
Are we in the same universe right now? Defiler, old Third Ed, Chaos Space Marine, Walker, Spider.
They have a base.
Spider guy.
No one ever runs them with bases, except if you go to UKTC events, legally, because they come with a base now in their box, you have to run it on the base. So, same with the demon version of it. What's it called?
I'm sorry, Soul Grinder.
Soul Grinder.
You've just blown my fucking mind.
Yeah, it's a massive circular base.
How big is that fucking base? Because that thing's ginormous.
It's massive. It's a dinner plate, mate. It's literally like that.
Whoa, you have blown my mind today. I had no idea that was even a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, they've had so many people ask them about it that they've written in their FAQ, their rules document, like, case closed at the bottom of the question because they've been fucked up.
Hold on. So you have to mount that on a base.
Yeah.
How does that move through terrain and shit?
Well, it's got scuttling walker, so it moves over 4 inches or less for free.
That's fine.
To move it around terrain, obviously you don't pay pivot because it's circular, but you would literally just have to go all the way around it. It's fucking massive.
Yeah.
That's why no one really plays them.
Fine. You have to then balance that fucking thing on like unstable terrain and shit, and it's not like it's so big.
I have the same problem with the monolith.
I have the same problem with the monolith. This blow my fucking mind. Wow, bro. Like, okay, sure. I mean, if that's your stance, that's your stance.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
what they say.
Like, wow. Okay. Well, that's cool. That's just completely blown my mind. And see, they need to update that kit so bad.
They do, especially because they're only like 165 points or something now, aren't they? Or something
such a massive base.
Real cheap on some of the
Death Guard, they're well cheap. To the point where Death Guard players are like, I'm going to spam 3.
Yeah.
It's like,
good luck moving them.
Don't do that. That's not going to be fun. Okay, Defilers, random. Cool.
Yeah. Well, I didn't choose Defilers, I'm just saying.
No.
No. Defilers are actually a fun little build, although they don't go together very well in a couple of places, I found. And also, for some reason, they don't have all the options for their guns that they have in their rules, which really annoyed me when I was building mine. I've since sold it because I was like, fuck that. But like, you could take las cannons and stuff, I think, and they just don't have them in the kit.
What? Random?
Yeah. So they've just got like auto cannons and a couple of other things. But anyway,
fair.
I digress.
I mean, but also, like, if they didn't have a base at event, how would you run it for combat and stuff?
Yeah, but look at my Tryout Stalker. That doesn't have a base, and that thing's a very similar style of model. That thing's got massive spindly legs. It's really high up. You can technically
put models underneath
it?
Yeah,
you can, yeah.
You can put models underneath
it
for close combat and stuff.
Yeah, of course you can. You can put them where they fit, right? It doesn't have like a defined edge. You just put them around its legs.
The practicality of these crazy miniatures without bases just freak me the fuck out because it's just so unnatural.
That thing's quite high. You could literally just put a carpet of stuff underneath it, like scarabs,
and
warriors.
enemy stuff can fight it underneath it as well.
As long as it can get into an agent range, yeah.
just breaking bits.
You just have like one guy like hiding underneath the GDA, like you can't get me, bitch. Underneath
just
the
like,
tryout.
but then you at an event like some power gamer's like forcing his stuff in and breaking bits off.
I don't think that's really how it's meant to work.
No, weird. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. My final choice, and then I'll do some honourable mentions. As I am now, always and forever will be a Dreadnought fanboy. I had to put a Dreadnought on here. And for me, it's the king of Dreadnoughts and the new classic kit that is obviously available, the Leviathan Dreadnought. Not actually a massive fan of how the Redemptor Dreadnought goes together with the old sarcophagus and the opening thing. It's just a bit tedious and annoying, right? Tedious, but where do we go, Gerald?
You went
tedious. But the Leviathan, even in its Forge World form, which is sometimes a pain in the ass, I still loved it. I built one. I had a Forge World one, right?
Yeah.
But I really like the new plastic kit. It's fantastic. Again, quite easy to magnetize-ish. Just so much fun. You get a big chunky piece of plastic at the end of it that's like the king of Dreadnoughts in my opinion. So cool looking, like goes together like Lego, easy as fuck to make, really. Have weapon options that are just ginormous, like moving batteries of guns, or you can even get the close combat variant, which is just for lols, right, which is quite cool. Love me a Leviathan Siege Dreadnought. I think they're the best.
Cool.
They look cool. They look really, really cool. And they're the best Dreadnought ever. Fight me.
Fight me.
And I'm not a massive fan of the Redemptor Dreadnought kit. I think they look cool.
Yeah.
I think they kind of look coolish. They're kind of a bit like they've got a weird belly thing happening. Or they look like they've had too many Guinnesses.
They do a little bit.
But they do. They just look a bit preggers. but just, I don't know, just... They all seem to have like one pose.
I've heard the ballistas goes together really nicely as well.
Yeah, well, it's monopose. So
yeah, well, it would then.
Oh, ballistas.
Ballistas is the new one with the guns.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just, again, it's very similar. And again, the same chassis is for the Brutalis as well, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm just fed up of that chassis at the moment. I want something a bit different. And like, if you're going to get a chunky boy, go full chunk and get the Leviathan, in my opinion. It's just a shame you can't use them in modern 40k games because they're legended, right?
Yeah.
So, but there you go. It is what it is. Do you have a third choice?
I do have a third choice. The new Demon Prince. That is a kit and a half.
Good choice.
That is a
great
kit
choice.
and a half.
Even if you bitch about the Nurgle face, which I actually quite like. So
yeah, it's fine. No, it is a kit and a half. That you've got so many options to make it look how you want it to look.
I love that kit.
They've really done a good job of capturing the essence of the old school Demon Princes. Especially love that arm with the gun arm bit. It's just so cool. It's just really cool. Like some great options on it, and it's just an absolute unit, and it just looks beautiful. It's just really nice.
We're going to be seeing more and more of those as time goes on because they're really good in the new codexes, really good, right? Like, and all of the new codexes, they're fantastic. They're slightly different to each other.
They are.
The Death Guard one's amazing. The
I like that they've gone the 3-inch loan up way with all of the new ones. That's really cool.
Great choice.
They needed that for the foot ones. That is obviously.
I agree. I think it's quite well balanced in as much as, again, it's this trade-off between speed and protection.
Also lets you kind of deploy them easier, because then when you're hiding all your shit behind ruins, you can kind of poke them out in the open a little bit and not worry about the fact that they're sat out in the open, because they're low-knots, right? Turn one, there's not much going to reach them, right? You know,
no.
Opponent depending. So it's really cool.
I don't know, from a mechanical sort of flavour perspective, I don't know why they would have low-knop in as much as, like, they are a big fucking demon.
I suppose it's that your followers are kind of getting in the way. Like, obviously the winged ones are massive. They don't get it, but like they don't need it at that point. A lot of the time, I think you're just ingressing them and then just running them into shit. So, and
I think, for me, the Demon Prince is the classic chaotic unit, right? Where it is, like they've been part of like Warhammer history for literally forever, pretty much, right? So to have a good representation of them, and of course, if you're into Games Workshop's second worst best game of all time, right? Yeah. Then you can use them in Sigmar potentially as well, right? Sure. Like if you don't choose any of the crazy armor options. So very versatile kit, that really fun to put together. And I agree with you. The Demon Prince is a proper slobber knocker.
What was your honourable mention?
I've got two. I've got Abaddon.
Yeah, he's a great kit. So good for amazing. Converting as well. I've done a Demon
exactly
Prince
what I was going to say. The amount of people that have converted that model into something.
Very, very cool.
And also, like, Abaddon representative other Primarch stuff, like, like Perturabo or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, Perturbaddon.
As we saw on the channel recently. And
the kit is great. The kit is fantastic. Like, there's no getting around it. It looks so much cooler because I think he came out at a similar sort of time to Gilliman-ish. I think it was in 8 that he came out. And just, like, such an upgrade from his previous kit.
It holds up really well.
Oh, so good. And that old metal bastard was, like, still kicking around in 7th edition, right? Like, so, on a 40 mil, and he looked kind of shitty, like, in comparison. I mean, he's a classic kit, but, like, he needed an upgrade severely, and the fact that the Talon of Horus looks so, like, menacing, and
it's awesome.
It is a great kit. It's a fucking great kit. And weirdly, the Scout kit, the new Scout kit, the new Kill Team
they're
Scout
cool,
kit,
aren't they? Yeah.
Just because they reminded me a lot of the old school tactical kit from like 3rd, in as much as, like, what GW loves to do at the moment is create really linear looking monoposy kits, even when they're not monoposy. And the fact that you have like a bajillion options in the Scout kit of them all doing completely different poses and vibes and weapon options for days, it's just awesome.
I'll give you my two honourables. First one is Deathwatch Veterans. I really like the kit. They've got loads of cool little options in there, and you can really like customise them and make them look interesting, especially if you can get hold of a Kill Team Cassius and then really start to mess about with them. So those are good one. And then the other one is the new Gene Stealers. I really think they did an amazing job redoing the old Gene Stealers. They are an absolute bitch to paint. I have painted like 25 of them or something, and I that was a lesson in patience, because it's something like
you lost your mind,
2,000 claws or something that I've had to do, because I had to paint them 3 times or 4 times per claw.
What is the unit? What was your unit size of those?
I've got two 5s and a 10, or no, I've done 20 of them. I think that's it. Yeah, but I've got 2 5s and a 10. Yeah.
Again, a classic kit that deserves respect, right? That was updated in a really positive way, because, my memory goes back to Gene Stealers knocking around forever. So, cool. Good choice. Good choice. So, on the subject of kit building that we'll probably never ever do, and the difficulty of these and how crap they are and stuff like that, are Titans in 40k basically useless, right? Like, and what I'm referring to is the Forge World Titan series, whether they're the Warlords or the Warhounds or the other one, I forget what the other one's called.
Yeah, the big boys.
And the really
the ones
big
that cost like 800 to 2,000 points.
Yeah. Or in pounds.
And pounds,
right?
Yeah.
Right,
exactly.
Like, it kind of transfers to about the same in terms of
some of them are like, real massive chonkers,
Yeah, they're tall as your desk.
Yeah,
right? They're
like 2 foot high sort of thing.
Absolutely ginormous, right?
Yeah.
And like, what the fuck? Like there was the reason why I quote this is because Midwinter did an amazing video, because obviously he
built an absolute
Warlord,
whopper, didn't he?
Yeah, he built that Warlord Titan, right? And obviously the issues with it, with the quality control with it and everything else aside, right? And using it on the battlefield against the equivalent points and stuff like that, and just how easy they are to kill, how crap their damage output is. And this is quite literally a machine of death that should, like, stand on stuff and do, like, 20 mortal wounds spillover damage just by treading on shit, right? And instead it's like, it's just a crappy kind of kick attack.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, really, dude? Really? Like, you're not going to break your game. Like, you can't even use them for, like, tournament events.
Most tournaments
and stuff. It's illegal.
Anyway.
No, you can't. Legally, you can't. There's no way to do it. Like, your warhounds are like 2,000 points, and it's not an army. You can't put a warlord in there. It's not actually possible to run it, right? So fucking make them amazing. Why are they so shit?
I think if we're talking like 2K point games, they are absolute dog shit, right? You know, that's our standard game, like Strike Force. You're only playing them for a meme if you're playing them at all, and they're not going to do anything. You're not going to have, you'll have fun running it, but you're not going to have a good game, right? Because they can't play the game because they don't.
Why?
But
why
I would say
bad?
there are two things that you can do with these things that do work, which is huge point narrative games where you've got like 10,000, 20,000 points aside and you've got a couple of titans knocking around. I've seen people do that. They've done that, like March of War does those events and stuff occasionally, and they have a lot of fun doing it there. And the other one is when you go to places like Warhammer Fest or whatever, and you see those titan only, that massive 30-foot area where they were all just battling with titans.
No, I see
that's
those.
fair
They're
enough.
fantastic.
But I think those are the only real ways to have any fun with them, to be honest with you.
I will counter that first point. The second point is valid.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your titans are then balanced to kill other titans.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
That's fine. But that's how it should be. Only titans should really kill titans, really, right? Really, 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 right? And in the lore, that's kind of what's, unless you have Sangi going Super Saiyan or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That should be the case, right?
Yeah.
And instead, you have a situation where even if you were to take a Titan in like a big 20,000 point narrative game or whatever, that would last a week or a couple of weeks or whatever, right? It can be taken down by a shit ton of las cannons.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you've got to look.
And it's bollocks.
In our game at the minute, the Titans aren't really designed for this, and there's two or three reasons why. One is weight of fire. Because even if I'm just putting out a fuckload of shots, eventually I'm going to get enough through to do some damage. And the other is things like lethal hits. And you've also got to look at the wound system, because obviously you can always wound something on a 6, right? So you're always going to be able to wound a Titan. Always. And then you shouldn't really be able to maybe...
You can easily get around that.
Yeah.
You just go, this unit is not affected by lethal hits.
Yeah, sure. Or maybe you say
or
that...
devastating wounds.
Yeah, whatever. But but even just being able to wound on a 6 still means that there's always a way to get damage through on them. So it's a hard one with a D6 system, I think, to be honest with you, for Titans.
It's almost like you need more
Well, we've done an episode on that.
Yeah. I would say, I would partially agree with you, actually, that the limitations of a D6 system does not suit Titans in their thing. But I love GW's 10th edition rules, actually. I think they're fantastic. I think they're the best, arguably, that they've been in decades, in my opinion, actually. But they got an intern to write the rules for Titans. I think it was just like, they just didn't care.
They just sort of stepped them up like
think they care.
10% from a normal night. And it should have been like 200%.
It was like done in the morning. It was like, okay, we need to get this done and shipped. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like, you've got a person like spending like £2,000 on this kit, right? Fucking what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what? Take a week to work it out. Like, get some people to think, I've just solved your problem now. Like, immune to mortal wounds and lethal hits, and make it a re-rollable 2-up invul.
They need to do something with the void
like,
shields, and they need to be able to make them just kill you.
Give it save re-rolls against stuff that isn't strength over 30. So that when another Titan decides to like attack it, then you have to try and roll on the invul for your fucking force shields or whatever fucking Titan lore that is, right? There's so many ways that you can creatively get round that issue. And creatively get around that issue. Curatively. And it's just really frustrating, and it makes people who have already spent that on, and it's almost like GW don't want you to buy a Titan anymore, right? It's just like, what incentive do you have to buy a Titan?
Phasing out Forge World.
Yeah, and it's sad though, man. It's sad. Like you are the premier miniature company in the world, arguably, and I would genuinely say that they are. They're the flagship miniature company in the world, right? And the Titan is kind of like your big dick energy of like putting that on the table and being like, look at my awesome Titan, look at what we can make for commercial sale, right?
Yeah.
And okay, you can kind of go, your quality control is shit because it's so big, and like this is an expert kit, Right, and GW have always had a problem with that. Like the original Storm Raven was this metal monstrosity that you'd have to be a blacksmith in order to meld the pieces together and make it work.
You could kill someone with that.
Well, you can easily, easily
Some
kill
child's
someone
like,
with that.
Daddy, what's this? Ah!
By the way, those things are like £20,000 to buy.
I bet they are.
They come in a wooden box and everything, right? You could buy them for like not that much back in the day of the inflation, right? But like. You know, I don't know, like so the quality control thing doesn't really bother me so much, although arguably if you're spending like $2,000 on a kit like that, it should at least go together okay,
yes,
right?
It should.
Without you needing to like melt it together, which I think is arguably something that needs to happen. But the one thing that is inexcusable in my opinion, sort your fucking rules out.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
they
it's
just don't work at the minute. They just don't work. They're not strong enough. They're not powerful enough. And like, even if I was to just play a regular army against a 2,000-point model, even if it was the killiest knight on earth, even if it just killed every unit it looked at, I'd still probably win the game because I'm doing actions, I'm running around, I'm scoring.
But ironically, it doesn't even do that.
No, it doesn't. That's what I mean.
Like, it just struggles. It just even the warlord struggles.
It can't kill shit, and it dies. So
yeah. It should just be able to, like, step on shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's
crush
like
buildings.
Dead. Yeah, it's just like dead. I mean, in the lore, very famously, like, a warlord titan nearly killed Angron by standing on him. Do you know what I mean? Like, crushing him under his foot. And, like, Angron's like, just getting fucking wrecked. Like... And you know, like, and that happens. You know, if it wasn't for like, I can't remember which Primarch saved him, but like, someone had to save Angron from being like turned into a pancake by a fucking warlord.
I love it.
It's Angron. Do you know what I mean? So like, you would have no problem standing on a unit of fucking Primaris.
No.
It's just like gone.
Splat.
Do you know what I mean? And instead, it's like roll for damn it, roll to hit, roll to.
Oh, sorry,
like,
you missed.
Fuck off. Get fucked. 20 mortal wounds, 20 mortal wounds, 20 mortal wounds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's like unbalancedly powerful on that side.
No one's running them anyway.
That's kind of the point.
Exactly.
That's kind of the point of why you'd run them. It makes it fun. Fucking hell. You could do some sort of crazy horde game where like all of like your infantry come back. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
and
hopefully the intern's, you know, been promoted and been taught how to write rules. So when he writes them for the 11th edition... I get so pissed off. And ironically, with this conversation, right, I get so pissed off with people bitching about GW rules all the time. And like, Camp is so unbalanced. It's impossible to balance... people talking shit. Like, it's impossible to balance a dice game. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude... 10th is amazing. Like, I'm sorry, it's really good.
Just
I'm enjoying it.
Stop it. It's amazing. I love it. It's great. Get fucked. Right? But in this case, get someone more senior to sort your rules out because it's a fucking £2,000 kit. Sort your shit. Done. And they're such a cool part of the lore.
They are.
They're so cool. But I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, in a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever, they go, look, as I've said previously on the channel, we've built 500 Warlord Titans, maybe even less, maybe 100 Warlord Titans, right? Buy them now or forever hold your peace. That is it. Our machine is fucked. Like, do you know what I mean? It's such a big machine to like have and all of the bits to have. You know, Forge World is getting phased out. Buy them now or get fucked, and that's it, and that's it done, right? And you can only be
you can always
part
buy
of
them from China anyway. So
China, China, or you know, a third party 3D printing person, right? That may be able to make them, on the sly. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Even then, I think if you're gonna build them, you know, at least GW replace it with a plastic kit in pieces, in massive pieces or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to have that as part of your ensemble because it's just too cool not to have, and it's a status thing for your position in the miniatures world, right? Sure. It just is. Like, if you were to be like, I paint miniatures, and it's fucking as big as your, like,
child
bookcase, do you know what I mean? Or your, like, toddler.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's strictly not really a miniature anymore. It's like a fucking monster.
Compensating.
Yeah, well, exactly. But there we go. Let's know your thoughts. Are Titans too weak? Should you buy a Titan? Probably not, but, you know... Mate, if I won the Euro Millions, I'd be straight on that shit.
You would, wouldn't you?
I'd be like, let's go. Let's just fucking go.
You'd probably do like a really shitty, annoying, like multicolored, crisscrossy scheme and make your life a misery.
I'll get a commission just like red and yellow or something.
Yeah, red and yellow.
Or like checkers everywhere, or whatever.
Love it.
So there we go. So our lore topic to finish on today. 40k strongest minds and intellects. Going out. You can start this time.
All right.
You choose one.
I'm going to come out with an absolute belter.
Slobberknocker.
Our boy Belisarius Cawl.
Ooh.
Now that lad is known for his genius level intellect. He has multiple sort of personalities within himself. He is still
Cawl. Yeah, because
Cawl.
he's absorbed them, right?
Yeah, and he also has the ability to change out elements of his personality on the fly. Like, so he can say, I'm going to be analytical, snippy, twat. Yeah, exactly. And he'll just put those in, and that'll affect the way his personality acts. But he also has multiple copies, what he calls call inferiors of himself, where he can talk to them and, sort of liaise with himself. And he has subminds, so he can actually have, like, his mind has subminds that are arguing and figuring out problems in the background while he's doing shit.
Better to have a conversation with than yourself.
And don't get me wrong, he's not the only one to have done this. Like, there are Necrons that have subminds as well. So it is a thing, but he is an absolute genius. Obviously, he created the Primaris. He's done absolute shitloads of incredible inventions and sort of technology for the Imperium at large.
When you improve on the Emperor's perfection, and it takes you 10,000 years to do so, you could say it's borderline heretical. I mean, this is the interesting thing about Cawl as well, right? Is that he can stray into the he's not really confined by imperial dogma as we know, because he's existed for so long. Like, we're talking like Great Crusade plus years.
He's technically met the Emperor as well.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. That, like, he's not really as constrained by imperial dogma as he should be, right? Where, like, he's, attempting to improve on the Emperor's design with the Primaris, which even by that statement, according to the Black Templars, is heretical by default.
I mean, there's a line in The Great Work, I think it is, where the Emperor says to Cawl, one day you will think you have betrayed me, but you haven't, and keep going, basically.
Well, there we go.
So,
this is it. And of course, him saying to Guilliman that, I haven't just created, like, 9 like legions or chapters of Primaris. I've done the other 9 as well, pure versions.
And he's obviously created Alpha Primus, who is a sort of like he's an extremely powerful sort of like a proto Primaris Marine. So he's really cool. Sort of like sewn together monstrosity. So he's very much a like a Frankenstein's monster kind of affair, where he sort of hates his existence and he fucking hates Cawl for creating him. He's in constant pain, and he's extremely powerful. And there's always this sort of like, there's this resentment to Cawl all the time with Alpha Primus. He's a very cool character, actually.
That is cool. And I think there's a lot still to come with Cawl.
I think so.
Where, like, I think he could be, because, he pisses off just as many sort of admech as not. And I think he wants to be like grand lord of all admech eventually, right, as well, where he wants to just like have complete control and power. And even Guilliman doesn't 100% trust him.
No, he's like, he has like to because he needs him, but he doesn't really. But like Cawl's like quite sort of snarky to Guilliman as well. Like, he's kind of like just like, oh, fucking gotta listen
which is so heretical.
Yeah,
when you consider who Guilliman is. I know, right? And he
sort of flies above the law almost. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I quite like that, and oddly from a mechanical being, not from like a being of flesh and blood and piss and vinegar.
I mean, he still is a bit of flesh and blood, but he is mostly mechanical.
Traces, like traces.
He still has
of
his
like humanity.
head. He still has his hands. He's still, or at least one of them, and he's still got like a few organs kicking about.
Look at that motherfucker. That ain't human.
Yeah,
dog. Like he's more.
He's got bits in there.
He's more machine than man.
He is.
Like he's just what he is. But speaking of your like Dr. Frankenstein thing, I think there's a character that on my list which is far more suited to the Dr. Frankenstein label than Cawl is. But even though you've got the monster allegory with the alpha guy, not to jump in, and then we can also talk about Gene Father as well. But my first choice is old Billy Boy himself, old Fabius Bile.
Great choice.
Oh shit, son. So I don't know if you know the origins of old Bile, but he was obviously chief apothecary of the Emperor's Children back in the days of the Great Crusade Plus, where there was a horrible genetic instability with the old Emperor's Children, where it would cause massive gene failure to occur, where you would die eventually of some horrible cancerousy tumours. And Bile found out that he actually had that and swapped his test results with a pure Emperor's Children dude and swapped them back in the Great Crusade so that he would the guy would be executed and not Bile, right?
Okay.
So he's a devious bastard even before his fall to chaos, right? Like, and his whole headspace was like, I'm too intelligent for this. Like, my legion and
too
humanity
sexy for my legion.
My humanity needs me, right? And Bile is such an interesting character because I don't know if you know this, but he's an adamant atheist.
Yes.
To the point where demons actually are pained in near vicinity to Bile because he's so anti-warpy. He just kind of reasons that they are like Xenos and has this almost like blank Watcher in the Dark effect to like demons around him that actually feel incredibly uncomfortable around Bile and actually pained to some degree.
That's cool.
And it's epic just because of his own stubbornness, of the fact that he doesn't believe that they exist, almost unmakes them in front of his eyes, which is fucking insane.
Savage. Yeah,
that's insane, right? And weirdly, Bile wants to like elevate humanity with his own weird sort of like monstrosities to the point where it almost goes above imperial and chaos dogma. Where it's just like,
well, he's got his new men, hasn't he? So
his idea of humanity is to like further it to the point where it kind of goes above like imperial or chaos factions, where he would have his own faction of biliness and stuff like that, which is why he's desperate.
He's basically like the Joseph Mengele of the 40k world. No, he is. Though, like he's not. He's like scientist is not held back by petty morality.
Zero
He basically
morality.
just doesn't give a fuck how he gets there. He will get there one way or another, and he doesn't really care who he kills or messes up or tortures or whatever along the way. If he's got something he's trying to do, he'll just do it regardless of morals. And that's the difference between him and a lot of other sort of very intelligent, medical minds, etc.
Which is not indifferent to Call, right? And
no,
like,
Call,
and they're
Call
very
definitely
similar in that
breaks
regard.
boundaries as well.
But the difference between them is that at the end of the day, Bile is still a Chaos Space Marine.
He is.
And every now and again, he gets that weird chaosy like twitch, even if he's an atheist, where, he'll wear a coat made of human skin.
He does. Yeah.
Because why not? Because it looks dope as fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, but there's no reason for him to do that.
No.
He does that because he's a bit of a fucking evil bastard.
He
and
is,
like,
yeah.
And that's the difference between him and Call, right? Is though they both are not restricted by morality, Bile is still inherently sinister and evil.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the difference. Well, I think Call is trying to further everything.
Bile's learnt quite a lot from the Drakari, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
So
he's spent a lot of time.
Yeah, so he's got some incredibly dark methods, let's put it that way, because those guys are like the biggest torturers in the galaxy.
Horrifying.
They are horrific, some of the technology
he did it to try and fix his own gene issue.
Yeah.
Because, he transfers his consciousness to clone bodies.
Clones, yeah.
Yeah, and like, it's horrible. Reading the first Bile back at the beginning of the book, he's operating on himself and he's just full of tumours.
Yeah.
He's just like full of like cancer and death. And then he just smells of like fucking decay. And then he just transfers that to like a new body. And of course, Gene Father having them both in. And having, like,
it's a great book. You guys need to
moment.
listen to it or read it if you haven't. I'm about a quarter of the way in. I'm really enjoying it. So
awesome. We'll talk about that when you've done it. Right, what's your next choice, chap?
My next choice is Orokin. Now, he is a Necron. If nobody knows, it's Orokin the Diviner.
The Diviner.
Now, he is basically like the chief chronomancer of the Necrons. And the reason I say him over many other Necrons, because arguably you can look at things like the Silent King and you can think, well, his mind is incredibly potent. He is basically like the perfect Necron. And yes, I don't disagree. But Orokin, what he does is basically he can transport his consciousness through time to earlier or further down or sort of future points of his own timeline. And the amount of like concentration and willpower required to do that, and he'll like burn out other chronomancers to do it. Like it's some proper space wizardry, and like he'll predict future events, or he's like working and pushing things towards a particular timeline. If you haven't read The Infinite and the Divine, you should go and read it because it is an incredible book. And he does some wacky shit in that book, and like it's just amazing to see him as a character. Like he's quite serious because his shit that he needs to do requires so much like concentration that it would like burn out any other chronomancer, you know. And it's just really fucking cool when you witness it in the stories, and you're like, oh my god, he is literally just whipping through time to make shit happen, basically. And just to see a bit of time travel in 40K, because we don't see a huge amount in 40K. There are certain bits and bobs here and there, but Orokin is certainly the chief of that, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see him bending things towards particular paths. So
I think time travel is like one of those things in such a futuristic setting that needs to be handled with quite a lot of care in 40K.
Because you can massively
discussed this
story
before, right? Where like, you know, everything is based on the law and stuff like that. So I love the idea of like that coming at such a cost.
Yeah.
That like requires so much intellect, so much thought. It can't be done willy-nilly. There, like Abaddon is like hates the idea of time travel, right? Even though ironically, I think the Arcs of Omen are secretly time machines, and that they have that GW have that in their back pocket to use when they want to do the shareholder break in case of emergency sanguineous return, right? And they're like, "Fuck, we need money. Go and get it. Everyone needs a sanguineous. Go." Right, where I like that, and I like that. Obviously, you know, he has a lot of responsibility in regards to that, and he does something that kind of breaks the setting, right?
Yeah,
like a lot of Necron shit, it breaks the setting in such a ridiculous way.
Yeah. Also, he's so powerful that he, at one point, effectively ascends to almost godhood, like becoming almost like a Catan in many ways.
Jesus.
Well, and that's what reflected in game by his ability called the Stars Are Right, where it's all to do with like, you know, an alignment in the universe, empowering him and becoming this sort of like pseudo Catan, where he's just godlike, you know, his abilities to sort of manipulate the universe around him become insane.
Strands of fate.
Yeah, exactly. And he almost transcends. And that I think is one of the end goals of the Necrons currently, is to sort of transcend their current state. And it's very cool to see someone come so close, you know. So he's an amazing character. And
what's his personality like?
He is quite sort of. It's interesting when you see him up against Trazyn, because Trazin's a bit of like a dirty sort of like, you know, pocket sand kind of player. Like he'll sort of do anything he can to kind
necessary,
of exactly.
A Malfoy, if you will.
Yeah, and he's, you know, he does a kind of similar thing to Bile, where he sort of whips his essence into other, you know, Necrons so that he can escape death and various things. Orokin, on the other hand, he always feels like. You know, it's like that sort of moment where you're like, oh, fuck, everything's about to go wrong. But it's like that the whole time with him, because he's always just kind of on the precipice of fucking it all up.
Is he more of a straight baller?
He's more of a straight shooter. Like, he will do what's necessary to get what he needs. And he's not really in it to, like, you know, fuck people over. He's less whimsical than a lot of Necrons. He's more just like, he's pissed off.
Seems straighter.
Yeah, he's pissed off because he was kind of actually thrown under the bus when it came to creating the Necron tier. It was actually, I'm not going to spoil who it was, but he was thrown to the Forges basically unwillingly, and basically sort of warned the Silent King against doing it, and was still made into a Necron, and he's kind of fucked off and wants to kind of, you know, throw back against that, because he's got a lot to settle, this lad. So he's an interesting character, I think.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'll take that. Choice. That's cool. Good choice. Really cool choice, actually. My second choice is a Primarch.
Oh,
and it has to be. It was 50-50 between this guy and his ancient nemesis.
Yeah,
but it has to be the old Perturabo, the Primarch of Iron himself.
Yeah, good choice.
Dude, Siege of Terror, man. You haven't obviously listened to the Siege of Terror
Not all
yet,
of them.
but just his grand plan when he kind of unveils like how he's going to attack Terror, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like just his methodical, incredible intellect, and just Perturabo has shown time and time again why he is the one Primarch that you do not want to fuck with or underestimate under any circumstance, right? Able to best a lot of his brothers in ways that are intellectually incredible, like being able to wrangle Angron and bringing him to the siege and stuff like that. And just, his great game with Dawn is like one of the best parts of the lore ever, right? And just, he's incredible. He's absolutely incredible. Don't get me wrong, he's a bit of a whiny asshole at times. Like, he's the kind of person that would have like Linkin Park posters on the wall and just be like no one appreciates my genius apart from me, right?
Yeah.
One of the moments in the lore which is really funny where he's like, it's just I think it's in the Solar War, the first Siege book, and this isn't a spoiler, but he's like just basically burning his brain out,
right?
Like where he's like there 24 hours a day looking at this like sort of like image of like terror and this like physical like thing, and one of his like brothers comes in and he's like, come here, brother, come here, look what I'm working on. And it is like one of his sons like comes towards him and he just grabs the thing and just smashes him in the face, and he's just like, don't disturb me, like he's just like this. So he's like constantly on this veneer of like control and absolute ragey, get the fuck away from me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't disturb me. Why are you disturbing me? And the guy's like, well, we need to get ready for the siege. Like, what do we do? And he's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm trying to work this out. Like,
leave me in my goon cave.
Yeah. And the fact that, he treats his legionnaires so poorly. Like, out of all of, ironically, even Mortarion loves his sons, right? And like, the Death Guard don't feel pain now as a result of that. And like, but, our poor fucking Iron Warriors get just shat on by their Primarch at such a great height. But there is no greater intellect, I would argue, alive than the Lord of Iron himself. And a lot of Iron Warriors fans at home.
I'm gonna one-up you.
Go on.
I think there is a greater intellect alive, but I think it is a very, very different type of intellect. And that is the hive mind. A mind so powerful that it can control the entire Tyranid race.
What an angle. What an angle.
When you look at that, and we were talking about the greatest, powerfulest minds in 40k, this has to be one of them, because it is so alien in its thought and thinking and methods. It is so predatory. It is so bestial in many ways, but it is also so cunning and so adaptable. It's almost like an evolutionary perfection. And I think that is...
Look at you sound like a proper Gene Stealer cultist. You're like,
it
bless
is.
the hive mind.
The star gods come. But honestly, when you look at it, what can you say, right? This thing is incredible. Like the power to command from that distance, that much, what else can do that? Nothing.
No, I agree. What a fucking dastardly choice. And you're right. And I think it's that subversion of being able to like work out the most sort of direct, brutal and primal route to the problem. Yeah. Right, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And like, a classic example when I think it was when Macragge got first invaded by Tyranids during the first Tyrannic War, where, the gargoyles are coming down and they come down and the Ultramarines are like, great, yeah, cool, like shoot them, fine. And then the hive mind's like, I'm just going to clog up their guns with gargoyle bodies.
Yeah.
Right? Or they just
I love how
then the gargoyles then go directly into the gun. And of course they're dying, but at the same time they're just overcharging the weapon, and it's just like, fuck.
I can't remember which planet it was, but it was a frozen world when they attacked it, and they basically...
Is it Valhalla?
Yeah, probably. All of the Tyranids froze to death, and they the first wave, and they were like, okay, adapt, overcome, destroy.
Sure.
Then they came back and they had adaptations to deal with the cold. And at that point, it wasn't a problem anymore. And I think that's why one of the things I love about the hive mind is how adaptable and resourceful it is. And it will just consume all the life and essence and resources of a planet and just move on. It's so dastardly and terrifying and alien. But I love that about it because we don't really know what it is yet. We've not really truly encountered it. Like old what's his name? Old Tiggy has had a bit of a sort of like head to head with it for a hot second.
Literally seconds, right? And it nearly broke him. It nearly broke his brain. But like the fact that like he was even him, like that has been exposed to like some of the most horrific things that the universe has to offer was like. I was overwhelmed by fear of like how much hate it had in it as well, and how like
it literally is
such
the shadow
force
in the warp,
of
right?
nature, like such an unbearable force that you're just like, and it's our biggest primordial fear as humanity to be eaten. Right, it's like we want to be at the top of the food chain.
And like one of the sort of like theories about what the Silent King's been doing, obviously creating all these sort of noctilith beacons, etc., to try and deaden the warp in certain areas of space. The Pariah Nexus, like that is that whole thing is obviously it becomes the warp, but also it affects the Tyranids because they are psychically connected to the hive mind, right? And there's a lot of theory because obviously the Silent King basically fucked off outside the galaxy for a long time, while the Necrons slept, and he's seen some shit, and he's come back and he's like, we need to get this, this Pariah Nexus up running pretty quick, boys. And the Tyranids are invading the galaxy now. So I think there's going to be some interesting future lore connotations there. And I think we're going to see the story unfold in a way where I really hope we see that. Like almost the Tyranid threat becomes so great that, the Imperium and other races have to kind of band together with the Silent King to basically create some kind of way of deadening them and stopping them, because I think they are a serious threat, as we've discussed before. But the hive mind as a mind is just incredible. Like, what is it? Where is it? Like, it's insane. Is it just a linkage of? Is it sort of an existing mind through all of the Tyranid organisms, or is it some kind of huge planet-sized being lurking on the edge of our galaxy? We just don't know, right? What is it? Fucking terrifying, mate. So quite excited to see. Really am.
That was a great fringe choice. I think that's actually your best choice.
That
was that.
What's your last one?
Scared the show. I would say it's technically a 30k choice rather than a 40k choice, but his influence is still felt today. It's got to be Malky, mate.
Yeah.
It's got to be my boy Malky. I could have said the Big E, but I actually think Malky has a better hand on things than
a mind powerful enough to run the Golden Throne for a hot second before melting to bits. Like,
Yes, well.
Yes.
But I love his responsibility as being like the underhand of the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
Doing all the shitty jobs that the Emperor didn't want to do.
He also acts like the little angel on his shoulder a bit as well, right? He kind of tries to keep him straight. Yeah, he kind of tries to keep him straight and narrow, I think.
And I love his relationship that he has with the Primarchs, where like some people refer to him, like Lehman Russ has quite an affection for him, where like he considers him like an uncle.
Yeah, he's kind of an uncle, cool uncle, Malky.
Where like Horus and Lorgar and stuff like that kind of see him more as a threat to their relationship with the Emperor. And then Alfarius, he's more like a father figure than the Emperor ever was himself, where, like Malkador trained Alfarius, if his Primarch book is anything to go by, as the first Primarch found to, be in the background of everything at all times and be a sneaky shit always, right? And helped carve Alfarius' identity as who Alfarius was, right? While still trying to instill morality, like some sort of twisted morality, right? And like, again, we don't know that much about Malkador's like background. We know he's obviously a perpetual. He appeared at the same rough time as the Emperor. Was he a descendant of like the tribe that originally created the Emperor in the first place with their crazy ritualistic spell or whatever? Like, that's someone's hot take. Do you know what I mean? Like, is he just an essence of the Emperor, a part of the Emperor, like made into a physical form? Like, and he's such a grumpy old bastard, and I love that, right? And anyone that can bring the War Master to his knees is like someone not to be like taken lightly, right? And yet still has that ability to hold his ego-ish in check, where during the raising of Monarchia, Lorgar backhands him. And smashes him to one side, and effectively would have killed him if he hadn't have been Malcador. Malcador could just like fucking pop his brains.
Yeah.
But like letting Lorgar have that because he's a fucking child and he's just seen his like precious world burnt to the ground, and he's kind of humouring him. And even though Lorgar doesn't know that, like Malcador's essentially humouring him and letting him get out of his system because. And he allows that to happen, and it's just like, and for obviously founding the Grey Knights, right? And like and having that secret chapter then be potentially humanity's savior, right? And of course him getting the hero moniker for, as you say, running the Golden Throne at one point, right? Like, and taking that ultimate sacrificial hit in order to do so. So he obviously cares a lot about humanity and humanity's culture. He obviously has the Mona Lisa in his fucking office, which is kind of lols. But like, at the same time, there is that dark sinisterness there, and the fact that he is far more powerful than we realise he is. Do you know what I mean? I love him. Like, for me, he is the greatest psyker ever conceived, and I would love him to exist in 30k, but he'd just be like a tiny model.
I mean, he's
like
a perpetual, right? So maybe coming back at some point.
I think he just got burnt to a crisp, mate. His soul, unfortunately, just got burnt out by the old Golden Throne. Fair. But like,
hashtag shame.
Pour one out for the boy. Yeah. But yeah, like, cool. Mauki's just the lad, but yeah, we love him.
Good
there
choice.
We go. What are your favourite mines from 40k? So that's 30k's history.
Yeah.
And why is it the hive mind? I actually think your hive mind one is the best one.
Thanks.
I think you chose wisely.
It was a good choice, wasn't it? It was a cool one. It's just a bit off kilter. Yeah.
You came with it at the end just before we went live as well. You were like, hee hee, I've got one.
I didn't tell you what it was,
No. Great choice.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, my glorious co-host, for once again hosting the greatest 40k podcast.
It's my beautiful co-host, Russ, with your fabulous hair and even more fabulous personality. It's been fun, guys. Let us know. And a big thank you to our Patreons, as always.
Indeed.
You guys help us keep this going every week and make it worthwhile. I mean, we're going to do it anyway, but it makes it easier for us, so thank you.
Don't tell them that.
No, I mean, we'll stop if you don't keep paying us. No, of course not. We just love it. We're here coming in your ear every week just because we damn well love it, and we can't get enough.
Well, hotly approaching episode 50.
I know. God, that is nuts, isn't it? God, 50 weeks of this. That's mad.
This slog. 50 weeks.
50 weeks.
There we go.
God, all those hours of my life that I'll never get back editing this fucking podcast.
What a legacy to leave behind, though.
Yeah.
Like, I often think that, like, when our boys get older, they're like, let's see what our dads were like when they were younger, like, they were talking shit. Well, thank you, everyone, and we'll see you again on the next episode of In the Tank. Let us know your thoughts, and we love you lots.
Yeah, love you lots, guys. See you next week.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao.